Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We are pleased to be joined by the Mount Pleasant head football coach. Of course, that is Jason McIntyre, who also happens to be the Mount Pleasant High School AD. How's it going?
It's going well. As you said, I'm kind of in a dual role. And so this week, starting pretty much today, things crank up. I've got get a lot of phone calls about, hey, I need to enroll, or I got a physical I got to turn in, or whatever. Everybody's kind of getting ready to go for next week. And you still got football in your mind because you've been working on that throughout the summer, but we're starting to crank up around here.
Yeah. So kind of talk about just what the summer's been like. What has it been like in terms of, workouts? I'm pretty sure and obviously every team's gotten a lot of turnout from everybody. And what's the summer been like for you guys?
It's been good. We've got a strong senior class, and they've kind of led the way this summer, and we've had good numbers, not great numbers, but I think a continued upward trend since COVID, which is good. And we're excited. I think, the summer's always exciting. The summer is always a lot of, optimism amongst people, August hits and things change, but it's been exciting. The kids have been working hard, and we've got our 7-on-7s in our team camp like everybody else. And, we've had to work around a few injuries and things. So that's been good because we've had to work in some other players in some spots and see what they can do. And I think that'll just bode well come August.
Okay, so now it's time to talk about some of the guys that are going to be returning and some of the guys to watch out for the Oilers this year.
Yeah, so, when you talk about, we've got a handful of 3-year starters this year, which is pretty unusual for a successful Division III program, is to have, once in a while you'll have someone who played as a sophomore. But A.J. Dennis, who is a commit to Michigan State, he's a 3-year starter on the offensive line. Logan Brodachuk, our quarterback, is a commit to Central Michigan University. I don't know. He didn't really start as a sophomore, but he was a fifth quarter player as a sophomore. He got some time, but this will be his second year as our starter at quarterback, coming off a great year last year. Tyler Hutchins is a 3-year starter for us in the defensive backfield, / running back / slot receiver. He had some injuries last year, but he's looking. We're looking forward to him kind of filling. I know a lot of people are familiar that follow us are familiar with Max Humphrey, who was our All-State running back the last 2 years. Who's going to Louisville to play baseball. Tyler's probably going to have to kind of step in and fill some of Max's shoes in regards to that. So Cal Kowalik, I joke with everybody about Cal. Cal's a returning lineman for us for the third year, but he's your prototypical high school type kid. I think he got dropped off to us from like 1977. I think if, he could have a neck roll and the old neck roll styles and come out with a big mesh shirt and his stomach showing and stuff, he'd be fired up. He's the emotional leader of our team. Those are the kind of the 3-year returners for us. We have a handful of, Caleb Newbecker was a second team all-conference running back last year. He's back. We've got a lot of linemen back. Ed Molyneux at right tackle, Brennan Bunker at center. So we've got a handful of guys who've seen experience up front. Marcus Castellan at linebacker and tight end. Carter Dole played quite a little bit of receiver and DB for us. So we've got like I said earlier, we've got a pretty good senior class, and we're looking forward to their leadership this year.
Yeah, a lot of guys are going to be have some big progression for the Oilers, and obviously not too far away from, I've always wanted to ask you this, but what's it like to be a high school in a college town?
That's a great question. And I haven't had a guy, but I think it's a great question. I think one thing you have to be familiar with how it operates to kind of accept some of the things you don't get. So I've coached in small school, rural, like up north football when I first started. And I love that because like when you walk in the community or you come in, the school colors are on the street signs, right? And everybody is, following the high school. That's what this community is built around. Well, here it's a lot different, right? I mean, Central Michigan University those colors are splattered all over town. Not, ours are here or there, but, so you have to kind of understand that. I don't want to say we're the JV team, but like, we have to understand when they have home weekends, how that affects us and different things and whatnot. So, It's unique, but it has a lot of benefits too, right? Like we have their facilities that we get to see. We don't use them a lot, but we're around, and you have their coaches who are great resources for us from a football staff standpoint. Our players get to see college football and college football players in the community, and I just kind of see like what that looks like. And so there's a lot of benefits to being in a college community as well. And we've benefited our football program over the years from their staff, because colleges have professors come and go and coaches come and go. And so we've had a handful of really good players here that were sons of coaches or professors or whatever. So we've benefited from that as well, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I know that let's talk about the schedule coming up for you guys. And it doesn't get, I mean, you guys start off with a really, really good Saginaw Heritage team week 1.
Yeah, we're familiar with Heritage. They're in our league. This is a non-league game because they're in the other division. But they were in our division league for years, and so we've played them yearly. I think last year was the first time we didn't play them in years. I don't know how long, but yeah. And coach over there has done a tremendous job. I mean, it's hard for us because we've had quite a bit of success against Heritage, and to try to communicate to our players. And I think a lot of them know from playing them at the lower levels, like, this could be one of their better teams in a long time. And they've got a lot of talent. And when you like really break down our schedule, it could be one of the toughest games on our whole schedule. And so, yeah, we're going to find out what we're made out of real quick in week 1.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, also you got week 2 at Midland, and then let's talk about week 3, a kind of a very unique opponent coming to your place for your first home game of the year.
Yeah. St. Thomas More out of Hamilton, Ontario. That's a first for Mount Pleasant High School, which is exciting. Week 3 is, our league, due to Flint Powers not playing football in our league, but being a league school, that's our crossover week, and we don't have them. So last year we had Cadillac, and Cadillac then got a new league this year with some of the bigger UP schools joining the Big North. And so that created a problem where we lost our Cadillac game. And we spent a lot of time trying to find a week 3, which is in the middle of everybody's season. There's not a lot of teams that are open, and you try to find and make that work. And we were able to connect with St. Thomas More, and they're a very, very, Canadian football probably has a little stigma when people hear that you're playing a Canadian team, because they probably remember the days where everybody was scheduling Canadian teams to get that, 52-0 win or whatever. But when you look at St. Thomas More, that's a very different monster. They've been ranked number 1 in the whole country up there a couple times. They won their version of the state championship a handful of times. They've produced college athletes. So it's going to be a challenge for us. It'll be a challenge for them, right? They've got to come in and play under new rules right away and those kind of things. But we're really excited for it. We're hoping to be real gracious hosts until Friday night at 7:00. Then maybe we'll be so gracious.
Yeah. All right. I'll just run through the rest of the schedule. September 15th may be week 4 at Traverse City Central. September 22nd at Bay City Western. September 29th, home against Bay City Central. October 6th, home against Traverse City West. October 13th, home against Midland Dow. And then October 20th, another non-conference game at Linden. So pretty good schedule. A lot of games on the road that first half of the year. But and then your guys are home a lot the second half.
Yeah, and we were the opposite last year. We were home 4 out of the first 5 last year, and now we're the road warriors, and that's just the nature of it. And you look at, like, I think our schedule, our league is tough every year, but then you take the bookend of both Heritage and Linden as non-league. And Linden, they made it to the regional finals last year and lost to DeWitt, and they've got a returner, really good returner at tight end and defensive end. They've got some other really good players. So, and they've got a new coach who's working hard to change things over there. So, those are dangerous things on schedule. Young, energetic coaches building programs with talent. I'd like to think I was there one day. Those days have passed me by, but that energy that's in a program when you have that situation is dangerous. You look at about that same time period for me. 06 was my first year, so we started our really crazy run in 08, 09, where we won 35 straight regular season games and made it to the state championship in 2011. Like, that's where, like, you have to have the energy and time, to put into a program to get that going. And those guys have that. And so they're dangerous right now. They're in that same time period of their program. And so, it's certainly going to be a challenge for us.
Yeah. And I know there's been a lot of, for people that might not follow Mount Pleasant, what conference are you guys in?
We're in the Saginaw Valley League, one of the oldest leagues in the entire state with one of the greatest traditions. We're in football. We have to divide because we have so many schools. We divide into a north and south division in order to have a football schedule. So we're in the north with the two Bay Cities, Midlands, and so and we just recently brought in the two Traverse Cities, which just for football only. Which, if you know the tradition, we really look at like our league. We've had up and down years in terms of success, I'd say, but the tradition, long-time tradition in our league, when you name some of the schools, when you talk about Traverse City Central, holy cow, look at their, the long-time tradition there. And even though Bay City Central's had some down years lately, the history of their program, Midland Dow, I mean, those are traditionally long-time, very successful football programs with a lot of pride in tradition. And so we're happy to be in the league. We're happy to be one of the better teams in the league over the last 15 years. We take a lot of pride in that. And we're actually not, we're one of the smaller teams in the league. So we kind of wear that as like kind of a chip on our shoulder too. Week in and week out, we have to compete against larger teams.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So I know the season kind of starts on the road for you guys, but overall, I know that this week is not going to be really a lot going on. Well, actually, why don't you explain what this, I know that a lot of people like to, mix this week up. Is it a dead period? What can you do this week?
So the MHA defines this week as the preseason downtime. And basically it converts us back to school rules. So if we wanted to still work with football, we could, but it'd have to be with 3 or 4 guys only, no more. We couldn't do a 7-on-7. We couldn't do a team camp. We couldn't go out and, be on the field with a football and a bunch of guys. So we're kind of in what we're in during the school year, which is we can condition, weight lift, do whatever we want with our guys. If I want to take 2 or 3 guys out and work the quarterbacks out or something like that, I could. We don't really do that. We treat it as kind of basically a conditioning week. Get ready for next week. We have a hill and a park here. It's kind of a tradition to run the hill. We go do that in the mornings, and that's about it. That's about all we do this week. We run our little kids camp, for the Rocket kids, because that doesn't qualify under MHSA rules. They're just 3rd through 6th graders, and then we get some meetings out of the way with our coaches and things like that and kind of get ready to go. So that's kind of what we've used it for. It's kind of players' last chance to kind of take a deep breath of fresh air and get ready to go.
Yeah, of course. Of course, the big week starts on August 7th. What's it going to be like? And the next 2 weeks for you guys, what do you want to see out before you guys head to play?
Yeah, it's funny how it's changed. Like, now that I guess I'm an old coach now. I don't know, but now that I am, it's funny to think how the first 2 weeks of practice have changed over the last 20, 25 years. Mm-hmm. You used to grind away 2-a-days, bang each other up, all that stuff, and we've just gotten way smarter on what we're trying to get accomplished. So we still have a hybrid 2-a-day schedule. We used to do 2 days for almost 2 weeks. Now we kind of go 1, then 2, 1, then 2, mix in our 2-a-days. And then the second week, we're pretty much down to 1 a day and get ready for the scrimmage. And I think the big days for me are, you practice in helmets all summer. You run around, you get your offense, your X's and O's all lined up. You're pretty good at that. So the big day for me is the first Friday, where we can kind of see who's going to actually be physical, because that's what football is really about. We can talk about other stuff, but really, are you going to be able to block and tackle? Because you're going to have to do that to be successful. And, what seniors really hit the weight room hard all summer and have changed. All of a sudden, wow, okay. Which ones have got the confidence to do those kind of things? What young players are going to be surprises? So Friday is where a lot of things change in the coach's mind, I think, for the first time. We kind of get after each other again a little bit on Saturday morning, like do a little scrimmage ourselves and just amongst ourselves. And then the next week, and then the biggest day really is that inter-squad scrimmage on Thursday against our teams. Because that's the first time to see your guys at game speed against other opponents. Really, we spent a lot of time on that film with our players and with ourselves, because we have to kind of create our depth chart and our starters off that scrimmage. I mean, that's really important. And that kind of creates the momentum going into week 1. And then I think your most improvement happens between week 1 and week 2, because, again, you finally played a game. Your juniors have had to play a whole game. You're like, okay, we might have made a bad decision on that position for that player. Let's reevaluate that, those kind of things. And then the season's just a Groundhog Day after that.
Yeah. Okay. So, and also one more thing. I know a lot of people are also wondered, how does the first week usually typically work? Just kind of explain that, because it's a whole process.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, it used to be, the MHSA used to make you go 4 days in helmets, and then boom, you just started hitting each other, right? Like that was what you did. So now we transitioned into it. So our first 2 days, we have to be in helmets only. And then the third and fourth day, we can go into shoulder pads, which then allows you to kind of start doing some football things, but you still have to have a pad between you and the other player on your team. So you can't do any live contact. So if we're still blocking and running a play, we can block now. We got the shoulder pads. You can do it kind of full speed, but we've got like a pad between the two of us. So Friday is the first day you can actually kind of have full contact amongst yourself. And for a lot of coaches that I talk to, I know myself, really Friday and Saturday of the first week is about the only time all year where you actually full speed actually play football against yourself. Most of the rest of the time, you're taking care of your players and making sure everybody's staying as healthy as they can so that you can play real football against the other guys. I know when I played in the 90s, we played real football just about every day. So, but things have changed.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Jason McIntyre, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck to the Oilers this coming week.
Thank you, Casey. I appreciate it. It was good talking football with you.